I love snappy dialogue in books or in movies or even my favorite podcasts. It's why I like Pulp Fiction or Aaron Sorkin. Memorable characters. Memorable because of how they speak. I've read all these books. I've watched all these movies. I have so many of these characters ingrained in my mind. They influence how I talk in normal life. Then why does my dialogue sound like I've never heard humans speak before? That was me, not that long ago. I used to dread writing dialogue. It was by far the thing I was worst at, and I'd go out of my way to avoid it. And when I did write it, reading it back made me wince. But then, I cracked the code. Not really. But I did figure out a way to cheat. To get dialogue I was happy with, and with a little extra work, become legitimately great. Now, dialogue is one of my favorite things to write, and one of the easiest things for me to write. How? That's what this video is about. Okay, Robbie, you say, you got me to watch the video. What's the secret? Bear with me. This isn't a bait and switch, I promise. I always struggled with my dialogue because I was writing everyone with the same voice. To be honest, it was mostly my voice. No matter the character, their age, their gender, whatever life they had lived, they all ended up sounding too much like me. And as a reader, because I consumed so much media with incredible dialogue, it sounded bad. It sounded phony. So here's the trick that I figured out. It's not complicated, and frankly, maybe you already kinda do it. Take your characters, one by one. Whenever you're fleshing them out, building out their backstory, deciding on their physical appearance, think about their voice here. The word voice is important and does a lot of work. Thinking about it this way is how I changed how I write dialogue, because I truly think of it as a voice. So, you have your character. Who are they? Have that in your mind. Now, think about what characters they resemble from movies or TV you've seen. Are they a stoner, like Bill and or Ted? A grizzled old man, like a latter-day Clint Eastwood? An earnest mom, like Marge Simpson? A sarcastic monster hunter, like Buffy? Here, a personal example from my very first novel, Conquest. In it, there's a gang of biker werewolves who are traveling the country, killing as they go. One of them is nicknamed Kid. He's strikingly handsome and very charming, with a silver tongue. When I was constructing him, I marked him specifically as Brad Pitt from Thelma and Louise. In the film, he plays a sexy drifter with charm to spare, a similar archetype to my character. So, when Kid talked, every word out of his mouth was one that could have come out of the mouth of Pitt's character, JD. For all intents and purposes, I was impersonating him as I wrote. And as I went, I departed slightly from it. And by the time I was done with the character, he was his own thing. Still similar, but distinct. But he didn't start that way. I stole his voice from a movie character. But it worked. I finished the rough draft, and when I revised it, I filed off the serial numbers. I changed his dialogue here and there, piece by piece, and separated the two, replacing the character he began as with the character he would become. It's quick and dirty, but it works. Now, you don't have to do this every time, because here's the lovely thing about this. You'll start out having to do this a lot. You'll have to steal voices from a lot of different characters. But then, you write more and more dialogue. And soon, you don't have to steal as much. You might crib here or there and draw inspiration, but it's not outright thievery anymore. Because you've practiced. Because writing tons and tons of dialogue is the only way to get better at it. But when I'm stuck, I go back to this same method. I steal a voice, and every time I write dialogue for a character, I picture that actor saying the lines. I ask myself if it rings true, and it guides me as I write. So, when you're struggling with dialogue, steal a voice. It lets you move on with your story and will eventually lead you to be a better writer of dialogue. And here is a final tip, only semi-related. When you're stuck in a scene, start writing dialogue. It's an old NaNoWriMo tip that might be some of the most valuable writing advice I've ever gotten. What problems are your characters facing? Let them talk about it. Write a scene that's just conversation, and you'll be surprised what your characters come up with. They'll get you unstuck. Have any more questions about dialogue? Leave them in the comments below, and I'll record a follow-up video answering them. I'm Robbie Dorman. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, subscribe. Thanks for watching. And until next time, be seeing you.